Welcome everyone to Let's Talk, the 2 p.m. daily show.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you guys are here with me today. This week is so special for me because Asian Pacific Week, Asian Pacific Heritage Week to be exact, that I am dedicating this week to talk to Asian models from Nomad. And why did I choose Nomad to be our topic? Because Nomad is one of the agencies that start to support Asian models from the very beginning. With partner with Roman Young and Coco Rocha, this agency was open and really supportive of Asian models coming from the East to work in the West. So we have a great representative today from Nomad Management, and that's Kaigin Yong. How are you, Kaigin?
I'm great. Thank you for having me on your show. It's a pleasure and it's a privilege to be here.
Oh, it's a privilege of having you. And you are calling in from Singapore right now, correct?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
What time is in Singapore right now?
It's 5 a.m.
Well, you need a cup of tea. You need a cup of coffee, a cup of tea. There we go.
Yeah. Cheers to
time. Well, thank you so much for making this time possible for us to meet up. And I am so grateful to have you. I've been watching your career blossom in the last few years. It's so incredible to watch your success. And knowing that the success you have today has a lot to do with the support system around you. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So let's go back a little bit in history. How did you start in modeling?
So my start in modeling was, how do I say? It was after a series of major career switches that I started modeling. So for me, I started modeling quite late in the game. So it was, in modeling years at least, you know, I started after graduating university. Yeah, so after, thank you. And actually, that's what we have in common, Yu Tsai. We studied biology, right?
Oh, yes, we're the nerds.
Yeah. So after studying biology, I've actually worked in a conventional job. Like I worked in sales function, and I also worked as a research assistant in a local hospital. And then
that was in Singapore.
Yeah, that was all in Singapore. Yeah, I was in Singapore. And then I think that took for about 6 months, and then after that I came across an advertisement in Singapore for recruiting participants to join a local modeling competition. It's called New Paper, New Face. So I don't know what came over me. Maybe I was not feeling the fulfillment in my pre-existing jobs, and I wanted to try out a new experience in life, right? And maybe because I was quite stifled while like being a nerd in university, so I wanted to try something different, you know. So that was what made me join the modeling competition in Singapore. And then thankfully I won the competition, and then it opened doors to so many opportunities after that.
Well, wait. Let's not brush over that. It's such a surprise because studying biology, which you and I share in common, it's a rigorous process of 4 years of memorization, your right brain working like crazy, and all of a sudden that your left brain started speaking to you. You want to do something creative, because modeling isn't an art form. It is a really creative field. And there is definitely a dynamic that struggle within your brain. And I'm sure extended to your family as well. So when you decided that, okay, I had enough of biology for the moment, and I'm going to switch to the arts, were your family supportive at that time?
Oh, okay. Well, I think I gave my parents like mini heart attacks whenever I tell them like, you know, I'm doing this full time right now. Like, I'm going to do modeling full time. Yeah. So no, but the thing is, the thing about my parents is that they are not like violently like show their objection to my decisions. They are supportive in a sense, but of course they have many reservations as well because I'm their daughter. So I remember my mom asking me and telling me to be careful if I really want to do modeling full time, because she say in Chinese, in Mandarin, she said that 你要小心，因为有一点黑暗, so it's a bit shady. You know,
so I'm going to translate. I speak Mandarin fluently as well. So yes, you got to be careful because they're a little bit shade, the darkness in the industry.
Yeah, but I can't blame her, and I can't blame my parents for having that idea as well, because number one, no one in my family is working in the creative industry, so they are not very well informed about how it works. And for them, they probably rely on what they see on the media, which sometimes sensationalize the bad stuff more than the good stuff. Yeah, so I can't blame them for having misconceptions as well. And then my parents as well, they are concerned because I like I'm a university graduate, and they supported my education, you know, and I'm very thankful to them for that. So to them, they are worried, and they hope that I would become like a professional, like many Asian parents do, you know. They hope that I'll become like a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, you know, something respectable in their terms.
Well, but we all know what that's like, especially being the Asian Pacific heritage. That is our heritage. And for all the good, meaningful soul from our parents and older generations, that they truly want us to have the better life than they have. That's always the case. And for them, the better life comes with education, and that's how they were taught when they were younger. And I'm sure for you and I, the generation gap of cultural differences, that we have evolved so fast in the last 20-some years. For Asian traditional family upbringing to then the progressive and innovative artistic world that you want to venture, that is really hard for older parents to really grasp into. The fact that they didn't give you a full objection, it is already resoundingly supportive for Asian.
Yeah, I'm lucky in a sense, yeah. So I mean, and because they are supportive in that sense, so to me, as a model, I decided, like, if I really want to do this full time, I want to do it seriously and be the best I can be in this career in terms of being the most professional. And also, I know that I would have to travel abroad to model internationally in order to become like a full-fledged model, and to constantly prove myself to them that I can deliver results, you know. So I put a bit of pressure on myself to always, you know, show my parents my good report card. Even in modeling, in modeling as well, like in terms of getting shows, you know, getting jobs overseas, you know. I always feel the need to constantly make them proud, and I feel that's my responsibility, the least I could do.
And for those who are watching that, I'm talking to Kaigin, and she's from Singapore. And for those who have never visited Singapore, it is called a little red dot because it's just a tiny little red dot on the map, but it's a country with full economy, and it's a place of destination for shopping. The whole entire country is a giant mall. You can go from one to the other and never see the sun because it's so hot out there 24/7, 365 days a year, that the malls are actually an amazing place to be. So it's an incredible destination, and I want to mention that because it is a melting pot of all different Asian cultures. And you have Europeans come in and out and visit, Australians come in and out and visit. It really is a crossroad for so many cultural diversity, so many different type of education, and so many kind of business can evolve from that place. And movies like Crazy Rich Asians are based off people in Singapore. Just want to know, I actually know the real people who's behind the real Crazy Rich Asians. I know that.
Oh yeah.
you know, we go way back.
Yeah.
I know those guys. But for anyone who wants to go from that little red dot to Paris, to America, to hit that new frontier, it takes resilience and it takes guts. I've been back to Singapore many times filming Asia Next Top Model. I consider it my second home because I'm always there. And I work so much with Harper's Bazaar Singapore, and I find that a resting place for me too, that this is where I find my creativity, where I can be both Western and Eastern at the same time. And Singapore is so unique that way because it's English-speaking country. So the magazine and publication are in English. So you're already one step ahead of people coming from South Korea or Taiwan or China, because English is not the first language in those countries. So I would say you were blessed to have that, because having that already give you one step ahead when you start traveling abroad.
Definitely. I mean, in terms of adapting to a foreign country and to, in terms of communication, I really do have the kind of the upper hand. But then again, being a Singaporean, being a Singaporean in the modeling industry, you know, it is something that I have to go through, and there was a wave of emotions that I had to go through, because when people ask me where I'm from, I say I'm from Singapore. And like casting directors, they do ask me where I'm from, and then I tell them I'm from Singapore. Then I remember one casting director asking me, "What's your race?" And say, "I'm Chinese, Singaporean Chinese." So that really like gave me like made me kind of start to doubt myself, like, so am I supposed to say I'm Singaporean Chinese now? You know, what's my identity, you know? So I remember after that, another casting director asked me where I'm from. So I decided to say I'm Singaporean Chinese. And then she asked me, no, what passport do you hold? So I'm like, okay. So I said, no, I hold a Singapore passport. So I mean, after this like series of questions that it were questioning about my identity and all, then I decided, you know what, I'm going to champion my own Singaporean identity. You know, it is what gives me my point of difference. It is what makes me unique and stand out. And I should own it, and I should not hide it from anyone. So now whenever anyone asks me where I'm from, you know, then I say I'm from Singapore. And then that's really actually a good conversation starter, because there are not many Singaporean models like working internationally.
Very
right
rare.
Now.
It's very, very rare. And one of the reasons that went back to Asia to do Asia Next Top Model, people ask, you already do American franchise, why do you go back to Asia to do the Asia one? Because I think we need to put a spotlight in an Asian community that we have more population of Asian people than a Western peoples combined. And in that population, there are amazing, beautiful people in careers of doctors and engineers. And guess what? And models too. And I think that representation, it is so important. And the opportunity in Singapore is very small because the country is very small. There are not a lot of publications. There's Harper's Bazaar, the highest publication there, then there's consumer publications like OWL and so forth. But it is quite limited. And in order for you as a model to earn that title of legitimacy, you have no choice. You had to travel abroad. So what is it like when you had your first opportunity to travel abroad? Was like?
So it was okay. My first opportunity to travel abroad was actually something. It was a very risky and reckless decision for me, because I had no proper network. I had no contacts at all, and what I had was just I was scouted by an agent in through Instagram from a Milan agency. Wow. So he reached out to me on my Instagram and say, you know what, we are interested for you to come over to Milan, to do Milan Fashion Week. That was
wait. This is when your mom goes, it's not the shady stuff I'm talking about. This is when mom goes.
I hid it from her. I didn't tell her that. And I didn't tell her that the scout found me on Instagram.
Guys out there, it's true. A lot of model agencies are now able to reach out to models out there and be able to scout them that way. And traditionally, we find models walking around at the mall, or models going to. A lot of people scout them at Disneyland because they come in from a different country to visit Disneyland. Those are the kind of way that we get international models. But now, because of the prevalence of social media and the abundance of you beautiful women and men posting gorgeous photos of yourself, attract a lot of attention for agents, and for agents who are progressive. They're definitely reaching out through Instagram. But guys out there, please be careful. Don't just blindly think they're all positive. And you did mention that you didn't have a lot going for you. You didn't have your visa, but one thing you did have is that you have guts. That took a lot of guts. That took a lot of guts. So you end up going to Milan.
So I ended up going to Milan. Yeah.
And it started to change. Things started to evolve and change. Yeah,
but that was the not so good times. When I just went to Milan, what happened was I went to the agency, they were positive and all, but then when I needed help, I couldn't really get any help. I was mostly on my own. So what happened was that through a test shoot, I suffered from an allergic reaction on my eyes. And that was just before castings for Milan Fashion Week. So at that point in time, I was so down, because first I was suffering. You know, I had no one to turn to. I had to go to the hospital on my own. I got to talk to the doctors on my own through sign language, because there was a major language barrier in Milan. You know, they speak Italian. So it was very difficult to manage everything on my own. The agency didn't really help much. They just asked me to get some rest. But in terms of like helping me like communicate with the doctors, no, I did everything on my own. And so what happened after that was that thankfully I still managed to walk a show. Like a designer, Antonio Mara, still put me on his show, which I'm very thankful for. And so after that, what happened was that the Milan agency referred me to a Paris agency. Yeah.
So you're beginning to get momentum. People are starting to believe in you. And kinda. Well, you were unique enough that you were the Asian girl that they need to fulfill some quota at the time in that period, right? It's like, oh, we found an Asian girl who can fulfill what we need. We need one Asian girl on the runway. Let's get this new girl. So that I remember because I followed your career and I began to see which designers started paying attention to you. What point did it really hit the ground hard where you started solidify your bookings? When did Nomad come into your life, and when did your support system really become solid?
So Nomad actually came in, so after my stints, the first stint abroad on my own, so I went back to Singapore, and then the Singapore magazine started to shoot me even more, and that's really when in terms of my work, I've published it on my social media, and that's where Roman discovered me on Instagram as well. And
isn't that wonderful to make a note of this, that you were at Singapore, wanted to be internationally known. You travel abroad to Paris and Milan, and not necessarily rejection, but found all this hardship. But it took you to go back home to establish your roots once again for your own country and people and publication who believed in you because you already broke grounds in the Western hemisphere. And then you get spotted again and rediscovered all over again in your own country. That is a resounding story for people to remember, because it is so important for me as an Asian person. I always said, don't forget where your home is. And I'm a first generation immigrant here. I moved to the United States when I was 12 years old. And I went through the same issue. I never wanted to speak Chinese when I was young. I didn't want my mom and my dad to be near me and speaking Mandarin because I wanted to be an American. And I have to say, it wasn't until I got older and really appreciate my culture, what I can bring to my work with my unique take of that cultural diversity, and actually going back to Asia and do television as a TV personality in Asia, and travel back to Taiwan and did a cooking show series in Taiwan, that I then realized how important that is. And you know what? I had to study for months to perfect my Mandarin so I can do the voiceovers. And it's incredible because if you asked me 10 years ago, I would never, ever imagine I had to go back home where I was born to establish who I am as an Asian person, then define myself as an Asian American photographer or American Asian photographer. Because in our industry, I'm sure you feel it, that we're defined by our aesthetic first. And the question is, where are you from? And then truly what they're asking is, what is your race? Right? They're not asking, because how many times people are like, where are you from? I'm like, I'm from Los Angeles. Like, no,
where are you from?
That's not what I'm asking. I'm all, Hollywood? No, I'm really asking. Oh, you want to know why my skin color is this color? Why my eyes this shit? Right? It is that, because in fashion, we're a very label conscious industry.
Yeah.
What you wear is labeled. How you wear is labeled. How you represent yourself is labeled. We're very judgmental in that way. Not everyone is in a prejudice way, but because we're in a sector of business that requires segmentation work for them to define who you are, it breeds that connotation of racism sometimes. And I'm sure of it, that you went through that as a model, having to question, did I not get this job because I'm Asian? Or did I get this job as Asian? Because either way, it's still race driven, isn't it?
It is. That's such a good point that you made. Yeah. Throughout my career, sometimes I do that question, oh, yeah, did I get this job because, I'm Chinese looking, Korean looking, that kind of thing. Yeah, so there are a lot of questions of identity that pop up through my career as well.
And they sometimes foster negativity because then you begin to doubt yourself. And as you said, you had to figure out, am I Singaporean or am I Chinese? Or I'm Chinese or I'm Singaporean? Listen, identity, I'm from Taiwan, I'm Chinese. If I say I'm Chinese, I'm in Taiwan, there's one political field that I don't touch. If I'm in China and then I'm from Taiwan, it's also another political field of people who have the contradictory of what I am. And for me, I got to a point, I define myself as Yu Tsai, and I speak Mandarin perfectly, and I know the dialect in Taiwan, and I was born in Taiwan. However you choose to label me, it's not on me any longer. It is on you, right? So when you are now starting hitting that runway hard, and you know who you are, you have a support system from Nomad. How did that change for you? What was that like, seeing that change in your career, also your mind and spirit?
So after Nomad came in, after Roman came in as well, my career really changed for the better, I would say. Like, I know that whenever I face a roadblock in my career, whenever, you know, I feel that there is something that like when I'm working, I'm facing any difficulties in terms of like maybe I'm questioning myself or whatnot, I know that I can turn to. I can talk to my agents, my bookers. They are there for me. They know how the industry runs. They can help me navigate through the difficulties that I'm facing. And really, I owe it to them, because after getting signed with Nomad, after like really establishing close contact with them and helping them manage my career in the best way possible that protects my interests as a model and protects me as a person as well, you know, I feel that I am safe. Like, I feel that this industry is not as it's not as shady as what my mom would say it is. Yeah, you know, you really need a very strong support system to be there with you all along the way, to manage your career, to have, like, in terms of branding and identity as well, like branding you as a model. They know what is best for you, you know, and they also have good contacts in terms of like getting agencies that are the right fit for you. Because especially when I just started out, I was more like, I was very edgy. I had like a pixie cut.
I loved it.
Thank you. Thank you. So I was more editorial than commercial. So they also know which is the best agency to place me in. And this really helped to define my career in a sense. But of course, now I've changed my look. I have, as a model, you need to be versatile. I've changed my look, and that also helped me in my career as well. And then they also can help me plan my career in the future too.
Well, it's so exciting to hear this, because you know, we can touch a little bit up on this, is that doing a lot of the Me Too movements, a lot of models were coming out saying that the support system is not there, and that's why there's so many incidents that have happened on different sets.
Yeah.
And some of the blame goes back all the way back to the agency, that they know very well the behavior of certain photographers, and yet the model agency ignore that and just keep a blind eye and send the models there and then put them in harm's way. And what I love hearing about Nomad, and what I love hearing from you guys this week, is that truly they treat you like family members. And I think that's so different than a lot of agencies out there. Now, there are a lot of great agencies out there, because you don't only belong to Nomad. Nomad is a mother agency. Then they start placing you with different agencies they trust. And not just about the agency, you guys out there, if you want to be signed as models and you're in Asia or you're in America or Paris, wherever you're watching from, you gotta find a support system that works for you. You have to trust the person that will guide you to where it's safe. Safety is number one. People ask me, how do I get into fashion? My answer to them is, one, is you're mentally ready. I don't care about how much you weigh. I don't care how you look. Are you mentally ready? Two, are you gonna practice safety work environment for yourself? Because it's so much responsibility on our own to carry that as well. And as a photographer, I have my responsibility to make sure that I provide a safe environment for you. And I gotta tell you, as an Asian photographer, I give myself a really hard time through the process of working to make sure that I truly hold on to my own integrity of my cultural learning. What am I able to go home and mommy and daddy's gonna say, you did okay? You know, that's just because where we're brought up. Right?
Yeah.
We don't leave at age of 18 and just fly away and we don't come home. In fact, I think we go home more when we get older.
yeah, we do.
You know? So I'm so happy to hear that you have a support system. And when you start hitting the ground hard, when you're starting to see yourself in magazines and start opening spreads and see yourself, has that changed? How's that changed you as a person?
After all the milestones that I've achieved through my career, how has that changed me?
I guess in a way of do you still question whether or not who you are in terms of your identity? Did it build more confidence in you now that you know this is who you are and you accept me as who I am? And doesn't matter I'm Asian in a Western culture or I went from the West back to East. And to me, what I love to know is, well, let me take that for 1 second back. Is that what I love to know is I want to know if I'm seeing what you're doing. That is, I have seen your work progress from runway to print to advertising. Each along the step away, because I know models. I can see in their eyes and I can see in every picture they're evolving and they're changing. And I want to know if you are aware of yourself that we begin to have evolved and changed through this time.
Definitely, I feel much more confident. I am much more confident individual as compared to before, you know. And through each shoot, you know, I really like through working with different creatives, and it really helps me in terms of finding my voice. I feel as a model and as a person as well. That's what I love about modeling. You know, modeling really gives me the kind of platform to reach out to an audience, even through like print work or any work. You know, it allows me to tell a story, and it gives me a voice. And I feel that throughout my career, as I progressed, I became more confident in my own skin. You know, and people around me can tell me the same thing as well, that I'm not the same girl as I was before modeling, you know. And I became a better version of myself. And it's only through modeling that I'm able to achieve that. So.
And it's incredible that growth. That's what makes a good agent, right? Good mother agent, a good agent is that they can look at you as a fledgling, a little bird that's just learning how to fly, and they know that they can help you and groom you and throw you out with the rest of the flock, that you're going to be able to make it. And any time that you feel like you're going to fall, they have a safety net to be able to come back to them. And that is a true support system in modeling. That, and along the way, you do get to meet friends, you get to meet other fellow models who share the same experience with you and be able to give you helpful notes and hints how to progress. And we know models all talk to each other. I know that if I was mean to a model, I was yelling at a model for whatever reason, everybody else knows at the agency. You guys are just one flock of birds that are always intermingling, and which is great because all that information is very helpful for you guys to grow. What I love now more and more is seeing Asian models on the runway representing Asian brands as well as international brands. And I truly hope that at some point, Asian models are no longer just a status quo that they need to meet. It is actually truly representation of a style as an aesthetic and commerce. There are more Asian people buying stuff than any other people in this world, you guys.
Yeah. And it's what I always say.
I know. So when the fashion world can truly appreciate that, perhaps you don't just need one Asian model or two or three. And I'm saying Asian model, I mean Indians. I'm talking about, we're talking about all Asia, because I love to see more Indian models. I don't see enough Indian models on the runway. I don't understand why. There are billions of people there, you guys. They buy stuff. Why wouldn't you want to talk to them, right? Yeah. And what I love about you the most is that I'm not talking to you that you're in New York. I'm not talking to you that you live in Paris now. You're at home. You go home and you work again at home, and you go back again and work in other regions. And that's one thing that I hope people can learn from this talk, is that don't forget where you came from and go back and support it. It doesn't hurt your career, you guys. You know, I heard it so many times. Oh, don't go shoot for Asian publication because you're already shooting Western publications because you don't need them. Guess what? You do. Because it's a constant reminder who you look at yourself in the mirror every day. That is not going to change. And nor will that publication, nor will the ground, that the water you drink, it's there. And when you go back, and I'm an example of it, I get amazing new perspective every time I go home and realize that how much I have learned or need to still learn about the culture. And how do you take that and then make it into art? You're a scientist. You're an analyst. So we're very analytical in a way. So things that we do go through this process of analytical. And at some point, the creativity comes in, and you're constantly finding that balance to make sure that you can feed that. And I think that's so important to talk about, because you took the time to have education, not taking away from any model who started at the age of 13 and decided not to go to college. Good for you.
Kudos to that, really, really.
Yes, good for you. That's a different resilience. That's a different energy. It's a different path.
True.
But for your path, I think your success does attribute your education does attribute to your success. It's the knowledge that you have in an analytical way that you can overcome what happened in Milan, what happened in Paris. You can be independent. You know, in this, I would say modeling is quite lonely at times, you know?
It is. It is actually a very lonely career. And actually a lot of the models that you meet is it's difficult to really form like long, like really deep knit relationships because models come and go, you know? And so a lot of times you find yourself like facing your own inner demons whenever things get tough, and you have to overcome it all by yourself. And so you really need a strong mindset. You really need to be extremely resilient in terms of whether to manage your own emotions, or it's also a very physical career in terms of like maintaining the industry standards and all. So really it is very challenging, and a lot of times when you're on your own, you can go into a downward spiral. So that, like back to the point, you really need a strong support system to be there for you. And when you feel that you are, you know, falling into that spiral, you need to get help, and you really need like a good management company, like for me it's like Nomad, you know, to be there for you and to help you along the way whenever you need. So,
and especially in such a competitive field, actually, for guys who are modeling, you know, there are not that many people who gets a hit in a Harper's Bazaar cover like you did. Not many of them gets the feature spreads or interviews, or because people are creating content, trying to carve out that path of their own. But to be in a publications, there's only so many, and it's very difficult path to get there. And oftentimes it gets very competitive, and I hate to use the word, it can get a little catty because people's emotion gets harmed. They think they should have gotten it instead of you. That competitive nature is it's ingrained in our blood as Asian people. We're always competing to be the best of the best. And I hope through the generation gap, through the part of us evolving to be better and kinder human, that we will embrace our own kind more. And you know what I mean. Self-love is so important. And then extend that self-love to other Asian people in your own community, because there's plenty of room for us. Because if you don't make yourself aware that there should be more than 1 or 2 Asian person on the runway, or 1 or 2 Asian people in Vogue magazine or Harper's, then you're not sending the right message forward. So if you want to be the only one, there will be only one space available always, and you're actually taking responsibility of the education to change the publications out there. I love nothing more when I saw your covers with other Asian models when you did Harper's Bazaars. I called Kenneth Go, the editor-in-chief, and I was like, wow, I wish I was there to shoot that cover. I wish it was me shooting that cover, because I'm so proud that he celebrated local models who are in an international level and gave them a platform so people will pay attention and take you guys seriously. Because that's the problem. Sometimes we're just become an emblem of, oh, we have Asian friends. We have one, and that's it. We're good. We satisfied that quota. And if we can bind together and support each other more, I think it will help to really foster better education for our community. And back in the 90s, for example, I shared the story with you with Cindy Crawford and Naomi Campbell and Chrissy Turlington and all these wonderful, amazing supermodels, and I have opportunity to work with almost all of them now. Back in the days, they don't show up without another person. And that's why they were so powerful together. If you want a Naomi Campbell, Naomi's like, I want Chrissy Turlington with me. Chrissy's like, but I want Cindy with me. I want Shalom with me if you want Amber Valletta. Those were the bond that they created, and the power between them grew together. And when brands like Versace wants one of them, gets all of them. Everybody benefits, you guys. Everybody benefits.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think that's truly something that I hope that we will be able to see that change.
More.
And because you get casting calls from them, I'm sure, said, okay, they're looking for an Asian girl, we're gonna put you up for it, but there's 5 other Asian girls gonna go up for the job, so just hang there and we'll see which one they pick. And that does hurt, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Because you're like, wait, I'm competing for a job for modeling, and yet I'm competing against other Asian person. And then I'm thinking against my own agency. But how incredible would be when agents and a support system says, here's what you get. This is the package. This is who they represent. You get her, you get her, you get her, and we all join together so you get the proper representation. That would be the day that I would smile when I show up on photo shoot and see a group of Asian girls who support each other, and that's why they're in front of me, and I would be honored to shoot them. That truly will be an amazing day to remember.
I really hope to see that day come, like, hopefully.
And it happens more, it definitely happens more in the Asian culture. That's why, you know, the Asian Pacific Heritage Month, it is important, guys. It is important because we are talking from a Western culture standpoint. We are here with immigrants and with second, first, third, fourth generation here. And a lot of the Asians don't even speak their native language here. But what's most important is that the aesthetic who we are, what we represent, is the core of who we are. And if we can continue to perpetuate positivity of being who we are, that's all we can ask for. And for you, a model from Singapore, a small little red dot making big giant noises out in Paris runway, walking down, you know, these big giant brands that you represent, it's a powerful tool. It's no longer just about you. I'm sorry, Kaigin. It's no longer just about you. I'm giving a lecture now. I went on stream without lecture because it's not really about you any longer. It's what you represent. And I think that's what's so different about being an Asian model, which I would direct the question to you. Do you feel that responsibility when you work, that you're not just representing a brand, rather you're representing your ethnicity?
Yes, right. Especially right now, whenever I go abroad, like I always identify myself as a Singaporean model. So as much as possible, I want to put Singapore in the spotlight. Whether is it being like, whether is it wearing a outfit from a Singapore designer, you know, or any effort that I can do on my part to celebrate my identity as a Singaporean, I would definitely do it. Yeah, so even right now, back in Singapore, even though the COVID situation is happening, I would love to, I'm actually like coming up with ideas as to how I can give back to the fashion community here in Singapore that has supported me all the way through my career since I've started, you know. And one way I'm currently thinking about and trying to organize the logistics of it is that because a lot of the fashion schools here, they cannot hold their graduation ceremonies because of COVID-19. So all these emerging designers, a lot of them, mostly most of them are from Asia as well. You know, it is such a pity that they are not able to showcase their work after working so hard. And I know how important it is for them to have that platform. And so I'm actually trying to reach out to all these fashion schools to see how, in my capacity as a model and as a capacity as a Singaporean who has gone abroad and tried to, you know, be on the international scene and all, how am I able to help these individual, these Asian emerging designers, you know, in my capacity. So I'm trying to work things out, and I hope that, you know, I hope that I'm able to do it with everything.
You know,
yeah,
that is such a beautiful, that's such a beautiful place to be at, that knowing that you have now harnessed the power and harnessed the influence that you have in your audience. And to give you an advice is that simply wearing their clothes and posting on Instagram and giving recognition on the international platform is huge. And you know what? Give Kenneth Go a call from Harper Bazaar, Singapore. He has a new gen program that he works with all the new generation of designers, and they're incredible, and he puts a lot of effort into it. We talked about you before I got on a call interview with you as well. I had already done my little bit of homework and how dedicated you are and how intelligent you are and responsible. What I love is that you're a model would have a conscious and responsibility that you want to give back. And I know being in Singapore, the resources are available there, like Harper's Bazaar, that you guys can make a difference. And if I could be in any way to help to put more spotlight in Singapore, I will absolutely happy to contribute. I would love to do that. It's like my second home. It truly is. And the food is amazing, you guys. The best food is from Singapore. Every country has all been there, and they really infuse so much amazing aromas. And that's actually where my cooking show stemmed from, being in Singapore, eating so many amazing food. And I'd say, oh, gotta do a cooking show because I love it so much.
Oh.
But absolutely. And I hope that we get an opportunity to be together on a photo shoot eventually soon. And when you ever come to Los Angeles, please make sure that you visit me as well. This is your second home if you want to. But amazing. Thank you so much. Incredible sharing of your story, and continue to hit that runway like you own it, like nobody else does. And take friends with you and grow with them. I think that's one thing that I really hope the industry will foster. And again, Nomad, I am so excited for this collaboration, have this talk. And one more thing about you saying you want to contribute, well, just by being here today on the talk, let's talk. We're donating 500 masks to first responder in your name. So, you are contributing, just being here, and that's our initiative on Let's Talk. That for every guest that comes on, we're donating 500 masks, and so far we raised up to almost 85,000 masks. Our goal is 100,000, and we're almost hitting that. So, for any of you guys who want to help and support, go to liveletstalk.com. It will give you all the information how you can donate, and all the money, 100%. Goes directly to purchasing the mask and distribution to the people in need. So thank you for being here, being one of the contributors, and being able to share your story to inspire so many others.
Thank you so much for having me, Yu Tsai.
Well, I'm really excited for tomorrow as well, because Coco Rocha is going to be with us, and she started the agency with Roman Young, and together they really did form a beautiful, amazing, safe place. And I don't even say it's a management or agency or whatnot. It starts with one most important thing, and that's a safe place for models. And with that, everything else comes with kindness and support. And that's all we can ask for.
Agreed, totally.
Well, thank you so much for being with me. And we'll talk soon again. I love your stories, and keep working, and until we get to shoot, perhaps a cover together in the future. I can't wait.
Thank you so much, Yu Tsai.
Stay safe out there, and thank you everyone for joining us. But that was amazing. Calling in from Singapore, Kaigin has really hit that runway and owning the runway across the world, and yet she still goes home and representing her Singaporean heritage. And that is all we can ask for. And her work ethic and the way she's representing who she is inspiration for so many of us in the Asian community, not to forget our roots and not to forget where we're from, and continue to learn from our history, heritage, and hopefully spread more education to the Western world that embracing inclusion and diversity is the new fashion. It should be not a trend, but a new normal. With that, thank you guys so much for joining me today. Tomorrow, I'm going to have Coco Rocha with me. She is the owner and started the agency in Roman Young, who has brought up all these amazing models and kind models and wonderful people represented by this agency. And you get to learn about her passion, how she has broken ground from the east to the west and west to the east, and created so many covers. I think countless of Vogue, Harper's, every magazine cover you can imagine. True supermodel, true inspiration for so many models out there. And most importantly, I want to celebrate the fact that she supports Asian models globally. So until tomorrow, guys, stay safe, stay healthy. I'll see you guys soon.